Hey everybody, Ninjanometry here. Just want to give a quick update about what's coming down the pike here at Ninjanometry PC. Got two new builds coming up. One of them's a used parts build, and the other one's going to be a completely new parts build. That'll be a first for Ninjanometry PC. Trying to move away from used parts build and from old platforms like this one here, which is going to be a 775 build. Now that is a new case. Both of these are going to be new parts cases, but this case is going to be the only new part in the 775 build. So let's break down these two builds and see what's going to be inside of them. First of all is going to be, like I said, a socket 775 build. In this case, we're going to stick a motherboard by XFX. That's an nForce 780i motherboard. It's got 3 slots for graphics cards, PCI Express 16 slots, so it is capable of running at least 3-way SLI, probably quad SLI if you had like two 590s or 690s or other dual GPU on one card cards in there, but in this case that's not what we're going to do. The processor in this guy is going to be an Intel Q9400. Doesn't have hyper-threading. It's not an unlocked processor for overclocking, although the board does support it. But this processor is at least a quad-core. It's going to get you pretty decent performance for the type of games you would have been playing in that area. Moving on to the RAM, we're going to run 8 GB of DDR2. DDR2 is the standard for the board that we're going to be putting in there, and that's the maximum capacity of RAM, 8 GB. The graphics cards, we're going to make use of that SLI system. We're going to put 2 GTX 550 Ti's in there. It's not going to give you the best gaming performance, but it will perform pretty well, especially for games that were out at the time that this socket 775 platform was popular. Moving on from the graphics cards, we're going to run about a 600 watt PSU, and we're going to have a 250 gigabyte hard drive in there. It is going to be a spinning hard drive. SSDs weren't all that common for that platform back then. So that's going to be this one here. That's my last 775 build, like I said, and we're trying to move away from these older parts, used parts builds, at least from the 775 platform. I'd like to move into the I series and newer Pentium processors. So that's that guy. Haven't named it yet. Figure that out once it's built, and I may customize the case a little bit more so that I have a little bit easier time naming it and so that it looks a little nicer than just that plain OEM kind of situation. So that's 775. Moving on to this case here. Now that's going to house my first all-new parts build. Of course, that's a new case there. It's got a couple of blue accents on it, a nice window, mounting point for a side fan, keep those graphics cards cool. Let's go down the parts list for that. That's the case you can see there. The motherboard is going to be an Asus H110M. It uses an 1151 socket for the CPU. The CPU actually is going to be a Core i3 6100. That's a dual core, but it is hyper-threaded. It's going to definitely perform better than the old quad core in this 775 machine. So it's definitely an upgrade for that. The RAM, the board that we're going to use supports more than this, but we are only going to put 2 4 GB sticks for a total of 8 GB of DDR2 RAM. DDR4 RAM. Just wanted to make sure we got that correctly. We're certainly not going to run DDR2 with an i3 6100. Moving on from RAM, 8 gigs, not 4. We are going to run a GTX 1050 Ti in this machine, and the power supply is going to be about 450 watts. We may need to bump that up to about 500. We'll see how it goes. And the hard drive in that's going to be a 500 gigabyte drive. So those are the two machines we're going to come up for sale relatively soon. I may or may not be doing build logs for these. I would like to, but it does take a lot of work, video editing and things like that, and I'd rather be building computers than editing videos, to be perfectly honest with you. So those are the two machines, like I said. Those are what's coming up, and hopefully we'll move them along quickly to some deserving buyers. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you have any recommendations, name suggestions, and once again, I'm going to probably customize these cases a little bit so they won't look exactly like they do straight from the manufacturer. Got to have them look cooler than that. Anyway, if you have name suggestions, if you have questions, post them in the comments, and I'll give you an update once these guys are complete and ready for sale. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time, and check out Ninjanometry PCs for your PC gaming and home use needs.